A rare new wealth-building event is ignited. For the first time in history, the private investing market, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy, is finally unlocked for the everyday investor. The Wall Street Journal says a new government regulation blows open the doors. Richard Walker of UC Berkeley says this is creating multimillionaires and billionaires faster than any other place. And experts reveal upcoming tech IPOs will mint hundreds of overnight millionaires. Today, we're honored to have a multimillionaire and early-stage investing expert with us to share how you can now buy pre-IPO shares of booming private tech companies before anyone else, and why one simple but lucrative pre-IPO deal could become worth millions of dollars overnight. For decades, it's been largely impossible. You simply couldn't buy the next tech giant like Apple, Uber, Tesla, and Airbnb before they became public companies. These opportunities were reserved for rich investors like Peter Thiel, Warren Buffett, and Mark Cuban. But now, for the first time ever, you can invest right alongside them, collecting your slice of the profits by owning private shares of early-stage tech companies months before they could go public with as little as $100. And it's all thanks to new regulatory changes which have ignited this rare one-time wealth-building opportunity. Today, you'll discover everything you need to know about investing in this private market from multimillionaire and early-stage investor Teeka Tiwari. Teeka says you could be one deal away from a lifetime of freedom and a chance to finally close the gap between where you are today and where you want to be by collecting 5, 10, even 30 years of gains with just one private investment deal. If history is a guide, you're going to want to pay close attention to this interview because Teeka's early stage investing recommendations have soared as high as 15,000%, 37,000%, even 151,000%. And over the last 6 years, Teeka's average annual returns of 281% are outperforming even the world's greatest investors, 24 times more than legendary Warren Buffett, 51 times more than the Dow, and 112 times more than the typical investor. Teeka even helped one of his readers turn $12,000 into a $1.2 million fortune. He's called the world's first trillion-dollar company, Apple, in 2003. He called NVIDIA in 2015 for a 4,460% gain, and he called Bitcoin at just $428. But now, Teeka says this investment story is bigger than ever. Today, he'll demonstrate how to buy pre-IPO shares of hot private tech companies revolutionizing and disrupting massive global sectors. Teeka will show you a special brokerage account anyone can easily use to buy these pre-IPO shares. You'll also discover how to target the most promising startups in the world with the Founders Code, Teeka's secret to finding the hottest private deals on the market. Lastly, you'll discover a live pre-IPO deal, one you can take a stake in for just $100 today that could be Teeka's next game-changing recommendation. Welcome to the One Deal Away Summit.
Teeka, thanks for joining me. I want to get right into this because just a few minutes ago backstage, you said something that really, it stuck with me. You said, we are right at this moment in a rare wealth-building event, unlike anything that we've seen in over 22 years, yet many people shockingly don't know anything about this.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, John. But to answer your question, yes, we are in the midst of a wealth-building event I personally haven't seen since I was a former Wall Street vice president. That was over 22 years ago. But John, look around. Since the start of the decade, 1.7 million Americans have become newly minted millionaires. It works out to an average of 4,657 new millionaires every single day. That's 3 new millionaires every 60 seconds.
That is incredible. So where are these new millionaires coming from? I mean, if you had to ask me, I'd say, I don't know, crypto, trading stocks, real estate.
Yeah, sure. But what most people don't know is a huge number of these millionaires are coming from a corner of the market practically no one is talking about. A private $5 trillion market where tiny $100 investments, check this, you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but in this market, $100 investments can turn into $10,000, $100,000, even in rare cases, millions of dollars. And for most people, this new class of private investment represents the best and perhaps their last chance to turn a small initial stake into a life of financial freedom.
You know, that's quite the statement. But I'm going to be honest with you, Teeka. I mean, if there's anyone to give us the breaking news on this wealth building event, it's going to be you. I mean, you called Apple in 2003 for a 70,733% return. You also recommended Bitcoin at $428. Not to mention, you have recommendations soaring as high as 15,000%, 37,000%, even 151,000%. And that is, by the way, the equivalent of turning $1,000 into a $1.5 million fortune, all from one single investment. That's impressive. And Teeka, you know, we both know these returns are unprecedented, but I want to be 100% clear right off the top here. You're saying that we could see even more opportunities like these? I don't know. I'm shaking my head because I can't believe it. And if this is possible, and if you're right, this wealth event is minting millionaires every 60 seconds, you think it would be all over the news. What exactly is going on here?
The first thing you need to wake up and realize is this. Right now, at this moment, you are only one deal away from financial freedom. But it's not in the stock market. It's not by owning shares of Amazon, Uber, Google, Tesla, and others. While, look, all these big tech companies are grabbing the headlines, right? But something much, much bigger is happening. You see, the next generation of the tech giants, the leaders that are going to blaze a trail for the future, are now coming to light. And for a brief moment, everybody watching has a chance to invest right alongside these early stage founders, months before these firms go public, with as little as $100. I will tell you this, in my 30 years working in finance, nothing like this has ever happened before. Think about it, John. Imagine being one of the first to invest in the next generation of billion-dollar tech disruptors, but before they became household names. From synthetic gene sequencing to the metaverse, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, robotics, blockchain, and so much more.
Okay, so we're seeing a new wave of innovation and disruption. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, but if I may, we've seen this play out over and over and over again throughout the years. What's any different about this event?
Okay, I'll give you that. You're right. This pattern of disruption has been going on for more than a century. You're asking what's changed. It's this. Today, for the first time in 76 years, individuals have the ability to invest in private companies before they go public. And here's the key, John. You don't have to be an accredited investor with $1 million net worth. You don't have to have been golfing buddies with some Silicon Valley insider or a Wall Street firm. You don't have to have an uncle on the board of Google. What do you have to have? Well, just $100 investment into the next big tech disruptor can literally help you retire. And today it's my mission to raise awareness of this market, this rare wealth building event, an event I've never seen in my career, and to make sure that viewers don't get sucked into all of the hype and buy the wrong type of private investments. Because if you make the right choices, John, I'm telling you this right now, you can own the next Amazon. You can own the next Coinbase. You can own the next Robinhood. But make the wrong choice, and you're going to end up holding nothing but a hot air, just like we saw with companies back in the late 90s, Pets.com and eToys during the whole dot-com boom and bust. Because when there's this much money at stake, John, there's one thing that's for certain. You are going to be bombarded with sales pitches by companies offering opportunities to invest. But if you know where the best pre-IPO investment deals are, the profits can be life-changing. And this is why the Wall Street Journal recently said, the IPO millionaires are coming. Truly, this is a historic moment for the everyday investor. I'm talking about the person sitting at home to finally get their share of the profits from this enormous market. And it's never been simpler. And John, look, I can see the doubt in your face. And if you doubt me, I completely understand. I promise you that by the time we're done, I'll prove it to you. And in fact, I'll do so in just a moment.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But Teeka, why now? I mean, after all this time, they're finally letting everyday folks get in?
For 76 years, private investing was off limits to the general public. But recently, the SEC slashed through the red tape. I want to show you this document, John. Most people have never heard of this congressional document that I'm holding right here. But let me tell you, it's a game changer like you can't understand, because it finally levels the playing field between the average person and the institutions. It allows the average person to join the world's top investors, freeing them to buy pre-IPO shares of private companies, specifically private tech companies, before they go public. Now, Stanford Business calls this $5 trillion private market a secret world, and they're right. But now, this document has unlocked that secret world for everyone.
For everyone.
Everyone.
Okay. All right. I'm in. I don't know. I'm not sure what to say, Teeka. I'm speechless. And if I'm honest with myself and with you, I'm a little bit overwhelmed here.
Of course. And again, I'll say, John, don't worry, because in a moment, I'll show you how easy it is to get your own stake in one of these pre-IPO deals. More importantly, how to give yourself the best chance of success in this market. But first, I need to warn you, when you see how simple and how lucrative private investing can be, and how the market has been tilted against you for so long, 76 years, you're going to get angry. And that's fine. You should get angry, but you should also get excited, because finally you've got a realistic shot to move the needle on your financial life in a way that doesn't imperil your current financial lifestyle. Now, I know it might sound crazy, this idea of small investing creating a life of financial freedom, but I'm going to show you the facts, and then you can decide, John, whether it's a good fit for you.
Okay. I'm in. Let's do this.
Okay, so just a few years ago, there was a small company called Pinterest, an online social media company for finding new recipes, clothing styles, business ideas, and more. Now, the only folks who actually knew or cared about Pinterest in the early days were the very early investors that got in when this company was still private. But do you know how much those early investors bought their pre-IPO shares for?
Let's see. Well, Pinterest was just a tech startup and it wasn't well known. So I'm gonna go $10 a share.
Nope, you're gonna be shocked. Early investors bought Pinterest for 1 penny per share. 1 single cent per share.
Seriously? 1 penny? But how is Pinterest doing today?
Well, look, if you were an everyday investor who could only buy in after Pinterest went public, to this day, you'd be up maybe 4%.
Okay, but what about the pre-IPO investors who bought shares when Pinterest was still private? They got in for just 1 cent each, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if we look at the value of Pinterest on the day that it went public, the pre-IPO investors that got in at a penny, well, they made 243,900% on their money.
You're kidding. 2,440 times their investment. $1,000 turns into a $2.4 million payday. Am I right about this?
Your math is correct. So let me put this in perspective for you. You get in after the IPO, you make $40 in profit, right? You put up 1,000, you make $40. You get in with pre-IPO shares, you put in 1,000, you get back $2.4 million. Does that fund a retirement?
Why? Why such a huge difference, Teeka?
Well, it all ties back to your entry price, like anything. Pre-IPO investors could have bought shares for a penny. Everybody else had to wait until it was trading for $24 a piece.
1 penny versus $24.
Correct. And this is why you only need one of these deals to create a life of financial freedom, to fund a retirement forever. I'm going to give you another example. Let's look at Tesla.
Yeah, see, I knew you were going to say Tesla. I mean, you can't go a day in your life without hearing about Tesla or Elon Musk somewhere in the news.
Right, and for good reason. Tesla stock has soared. But let's say you saw the potential early, and let's say it was even legal, and you bought pre-IPO shares of Tesla before it became a globally known company, John. Can you guess how much shares cost on a pre-IPO basis?
Well, let me think about this. Seeing how Tesla is over $900 per share today, I'd guess pre-IPO shares were around $100 per share.
Lower.
Really? All right, okay, $25.
John, you're not even close. Tesla went public for a split-adjusted $3.40 per share. That seems ridiculously cheap today. But take a look at this. As a private investor, you could have got shares for just 83 cents per share. John, 83 cents per share for Tesla. I mean, think about how incredible that is. Anyone who got in would have collected a massive 515,000% return on their money.
It almost doesn't seem real, does it, Teeka? I mean, $100 turns into a $515,000 payday. Imagine, you wake up and then you see that you're $500,000 richer.
Yeah, it's life-changing. And look at the difference. You put $100 into Tesla on its IPO day, it would have grown to as much as $18,329. And that is an absolute home run. I'm not going to say it's not. But if you take that same $100 and you buy the pre-IPO shares, all of a sudden, you're looking at a $515,000 payday. And this is what's key, John. It's the same company. It's the same investment, but you're buying pre-IPO, not IPO.
Well, look, you put it that way, all of a sudden it looks obvious. $18,000 versus $515,000. I mean, that's no contest.
So if it seems obvious and so much more profitable, the question is, why don't more people know about it?
Exactly. Okay, so you took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, it's not rocket science, John. Think about the economic incentives at work here. Wall Street wants you out of their deals. Do you think they want you horning in on their pre-IPO stock? You see, they invest billions of dollars in these private tech companies before the masses pile in. So they've kept you locked out and your family locked out of these deals for 76 years. It makes sense why pre-IPO investing has been kind of the best kept secret in the world of finance. And again, not just for wealthy investors, but let's look at those trillion-dollar mega money management firms on Wall Street like BlackRock that manages $9 trillion. Do you think these guys have created all their wealth by sharing their secrets with everyday Americans? Do you think for a minute they stop and wonder about John Burke, if they're playing fair for him or his family? No, not for a second. Each year they plow $260 billion into private deals, just like the ones I've shown you today, all while telling regular investors, like you, John, to do the exact opposite. But just look at what Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, recently said. This is mind-blowing. He said, I'm incredibly bullish on the stock market because if you listen to him and go only in the public stock market, he makes out like a bandit. Now, why? Because him and firms like his, they get to unload their pre-IPO shares on an unsuspecting public at a huge profit. The same people that were told they couldn't buy the pre-IPO shares. That's why it's so important to watch what these Wall Street guys are doing, not what they are saying. You see, if you only follow to what they say, they will steer you wrong again and again and again. I'm going to show you another example. Have you heard of Palantir?
I have not.
Most people haven't. It's a software company specializing in big data analytics. They mostly sell to governments and government agencies. But clued in pre-IPO investors did see their potential. Even the CIA, America's Central Intelligence Agency, bought pre-IPO shares. But let's say you just put $100 into Palantir on its normal, typical IPO day as a public John Q investor. After Palantir went public, you could have seen a 40% profit.
All right, well, what's the problem with that? I mean, 40% sounds pretty good to me. Are you implying pre-IPO investors came out ahead of that?
I'm not implying anything, John. This already happened. Pre-IPO investors who got in when Palantir was private, they did much, much better than the public investors. Today, the company is worth an astonishing $23 billion, billion with a B. So let's keep this in perspective. $100 on IPO day, you got $140 back. But look at how much the private investors could have made. They didn't double their money. They didn't make 10 times their money. John, they didn't even make 100 times their money. They saw 306,566% growth. John, I hope you're beginning to see the difference. You see, buyers in the public market, the public, settle for a 40% return buying Palantir on its IPO day. Buyers in the pre-IPO market or the private market, same company, make 306,000%. That 306,000% gain can take a $100 stake and take it into north of $300,000. John, I want you to imagine with me for a second that what happens when you wake up one morning and you see $300,000 in your account from a $100 investment?
I got to tell you, I got to say it again. I can't imagine that. It seems impossible to me.
Of course it does, because for 76 years you've been conditioned to settle for the scraps. Not saying you're 76 years old, John.
I get your point.
Every now and again they kick you a crust of food. But now, for the first time in 76 years, now is your chance to see results that they've been enjoying for decades. But you can see it in your portfolio. All of a sudden, the private market is unlocked. That's why Forbes says a new dawn is here. And Patrick O'Neill, a Silicon Valley insider, he says upcoming tech IPOs will mint hundreds of overnight millionaires. But John, this new market is not only creating overnight millionaires. Bloomberg reports this private market is also creating a new billionaire every week. And now for the first time ever, you get to grab your share.
If just one deal could help me create financial freedom, I mean, that in itself is huge. And if I can get started with as little as $100, I don't know, it seems to me you'd be crazy to ignore what you're saying right here.
I'm so glad that you're starting to see this picture form, and really not a moment too soon, because we don't have much time left. When this opportunity becomes obvious to everyone, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to be overwhelmed when you see how many deals there are there to choose from. That's why today, I'm going to make sure you walk away with access to one of my favorite new deals, along with simple instructions on how to take a small stake. And in a moment, I'll show you how simple it is. John, look, I could show you dozens of deals that have paid off, each with the potential to radically change your life.
1,140%, 11,146%, 35,000% returns. These are far beyond anything I've ever seen before. Is that really possible for just a casual investor? Really, Teeka, like me?
Yes, it is. But John, if you're going to be successful, you've got to think like a venture capitalist. And tell me, do you think the world's top VCs put all their money in a single deal? No way, right, John?
Right.
So what they do is they place a handful of calculated, high probability bets.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds great on paper. But how am I supposed to do that if I don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to invest?
Okay, let me put it this way. Right now, you could buy one share of Google for about $2,500. And that might sound like a great investment. But John, do you really think that $2,500 investment, just one share in Google stock, will pay for your retirement?
Oh, no, just one share of Google? No. I mean, maybe it could double in the years to come. It's hard to say, but no, I can't imagine one share of Google paying all my bills for the rest of my life.
Right. But what if instead you took that same $2,500 and instead you put $100 into 25 different pre-IPO deals, each with a shot to become the next multi-billion-dollar tech disruptor? Do you see the difference, John?
Yeah.
Right? You buy 25 different pre-IPO deals, 25 different shots at your dream retirement versus one share of Google stock. That's the choice in front of you today. And just think, you only need one of these 25 deals to pay off big. That's it. That's why I'm telling you, John, You're literally one deal away from a life of financial freedom.
You know, when you put it that way, it changes everything. It seems like a no-brainer.
Right, for most people, yes, it's a no-brainer. But if you're going to make the most of this opportunity, you have to be willing to act. Because right now, we are smack in the middle of a rare opportunity, unlike anything I've seen in the last 22 years. It's what I call the great IPO boom of 22. Look, John, I joined Wall Street in 1989. I was on the front line of the dot-com boom. At 20 years of age, I became the youngest vice president at Shearson Lehman, a massive player in the IPO market for over a century. Shearson even took some of the world's biggest institutions public. Companies like Merrill Lynch, the $2.3 trillion asset manager, and Macy's, one of America's largest retail stores. Hertz, the massive rental car company we know today. In fact, Lehman was one of the largest banks in the world. Yet in all that time on Wall Street, not once did I put a regular investor into a pre-IPO deal. I'll say that again. Not one time did I ever put a singular regular investor into a pre-IPO deal in all my years on Wall Street. And it's not because I didn't want to. It was simply impossible because those deals were reserved for either the well-connected or the very wealthy. And that's what makes this moment so special. Take a look at this.
Okay. All right. What is this? What am I seeing here?
You're looking at the number of companies going public. It's the biggest IPO surge in history, even bigger than the IPO boom in the 1990s when $10 trillion gushed through the markets. I'm sure you heard about investors making a fortune on dot-com stocks.
Sure.
Every day, countless millionaires were made, and early investors who got into pre-IPO shares, well, they were making a killing. Do you remember Netscape?
Yeah, of course. That's one of the first popular web browsers like the ones we use today.
Absolutely. MarketWatch called Netscape the IPO that launched an era. But what happened on that day of Netscape's IPO was nothing short of amazing. Main Street collected a 69% return. Not bad for a single day.
Right.
But pre-IPO investors, they made a whopping 39,900%, turning $1,000 into $399,000. Jim Clark, who put in $4 million, walked away with almost a $500 million payday.
Unbelievable. You know, sometimes it's just hard to wrap my head around how insanely large these profits are and how big they can be. I mean, 39,900% sounds like some insane, I don't know, lotto ticket on a tiny crypto coin or something.
Look, for most people, of course, that's an insane move. But when there are trillions of dollars flowing through the markets and you can get in early on the right deal, well, John, that's when anything is possible. Think about this. During the 1990s IPO boom, 5,724 companies went public. That's when Mark Cuban got rich. Today, he's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team, a billionaire and one of the stars of Shark Tank. Back then, he created a company called Broadcast.com, which eventually went public. People who bought in late, though, when the company was already public, well, they did pretty good. They scored a 244% gain. But pre-IPO investors, they saw a 5,700,000% gain.
5.7 million %? I mean, at that rate, it's no wonder why Cuban became a billionaire, right?
100%. And today he's at it again, preparing for the next IPO boom. Now, a moment ago, you remember I told you how important it is to get into a handful of private deals. Turns out, that's precisely the advice Cuban has been following. You see, as we speak, he has 365 pre-IPO investments in his portfolio. And until now, you'd have to be a millionaire or a high earner to catch even a whiff of one of these deals. But today, for the first time, you can buy into them, starting with as little as $100. And over time, you can build your own VC-like portfolio like Mark Cuban for less than the cost of a single share of Google. And it's never been more important because I can assure you, all the wealthy insiders, they're not sitting on the fence. Elite hedge funds and investment banks are preparing for this massive wealth event. In fact, JP Morgan is creating an entirely new team just to handle the surge of pre-IPO investments. And when one of the biggest banks on planet Earth is making a move like that, you have to pay special attention. But I'm not even asking you just to listen to me. I want you to look at the facts. Guys, can we get this up on the screen here? John, do you see these headlines?
Yeah. Let's see that. The busiest quarter for IPOs in over 2 decades. Global IPOs blow past $600 billion, the best year on record. IPOs hit an annual record in less than 6 months. The booming IPO market shows no sign of slowing. Okay, Teeka, I get it. IPOs. This is historic, and this IPO boom is about to hit full tilt. But this is torture, man. This really is. Can you please demonstrate exactly how anyone can buy pre-IPO shares? Because I'm guessing a lot of our viewers have never participated in this before. So if there's any way that you could, demystify this for us, we're all ears.
Well, I'm gonna make a prediction, John. When you see how simple it is, I know you're going to be shocked. According to the Center of Venture Research, just 300,000 individuals are buying pre-IPO shares, and it's a crime because it means that over 99% of the population is missing out on this rare wealth-building secret. It's a tragedy because the majority of folks are only investing in the public stock market, but I've shown you that's where the smallest gains are. That's why Inc. says you're missing 95% of the gains when investing in public tech companies.
Okay, so the moment we regular folks buy a stock in the public market, often the majority of the gains are already squeezed out, aren't they?
Exactly. If you want the biggest gains, it's already too late when you're joining millions of others in the public stock market. Once your eyes are open to this, John, you can't unsee this. You'll never look at investing the same way. And there's one fact I'd like you to take away from this talk. It's that you can do this. I promise. I'll stick around and I'll show you how easy it is. You can join in on this IPO boom before it's too late.
Well, I don't think it's ever been clearer. I mean, the earlier you invest in a hot tech company, the more money you can make.
Exactly. And this is why high net worth individuals, family offices, endowment funds, they're investing 40 to 50% of all their money in private deals.
Wow.
It's where the real multi-generational wealth is created. And it only takes one deal to secure it all. Take Square, for example. When Square went public, early investors could have made a 24% return. But early investors who bought pre-IPO shares, well, they scored a massive 10,823% return. John, let's put that in perspective. A $1,000 investment turns into nearly $108,000. Or take Zoom as another example. Since Zoom has gone public, everyday investors have collected a 72% return on their money. But pre-IPO investors, they collected a 71,842% return on their money.
So $1,000 turns into $718,000, right?
$718,000. And these kinds of deals are happening more than ever. But here's the thing I want you to understand, John. You only need one of these deals to work in your favor to fund your financial freedom.
Wow, that is incredible. Now, Teeka, you're no stranger to making investment recommendations that give everyday people the chance to become millionaires. It's what you do. It's what you've always been done. You're known for it. You've been at it for years. A good example, you helped BJ, one of your followers, turn $12,000 into a $1.2 million fortune in only 18 months. But now, why this? Why are you doing something that no one on Wall Street really is willing to do? Why are you letting us in on this secret to begin with?
It's really simple. I've been broke and I've been wealthy. John, wealthy is much better.
Yeah.
These days, what keeps me going is helping regular folks reach their financial potential because anybody can do this. It's not, they've kept it a secret for 76 years and it shouldn't be a secret, John. It's that simple.
You're just the man for the job. Folks, to recap, for those who are just joining us, we're talking to Teeka Tiwari, who has made some of the biggest financial calls in history. Teeka, you left England at the young age of 16. You were broke. You just had $150 in your pocket. Back in 1990, at the age of 20, you became the youngest vice president at Shearson Lehman. You made stunning financial calls, like Apple back in 2003, before it became the world's first multi-trillion-dollar company. You profiled Amazon before it rocketed 50x. You even called the entire cryptocurrency boom when it was just getting started, recommending Bitcoin at $428, recommending Ethereum for a 480x return, and a tiny crypto for a 1,500x return. Not bad. As a matter of fact, your recommendations have returned 281% on average for the last 6 years, 24 times more than legendary Warren Buffett, 51 times more than the Dow, and 112 times more than the average investor.
You really did your research, John.
Hey, listen, it is what it is. And beyond all that, Teeka, you're a former Wall Street VP for the same investment bank that took some of the world's biggest companies public. More importantly, you've created priceless connections. That's a big deal. From billionaires to former CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, even a meeting with the Silicon Valley legend who's behind billion-dollar tech investments like PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla. So I got to ask, your rise to financial stardom, so to speak, it's inspiring, to say the least, but this is what I want to know. Did you learn anything along the way that you can share with us? Because I imagine that you must have heard and seen so many things that most people never get access to.
John, if I tried to distill everything I learned on Wall Street, of course we'd be sitting here until next week. But the most important thing I learned is this: watch what people do, not what they say. Watch what they do with their money, not what they're saying you should do with your money. John, Wall Street wants you to settle for pathetic returns in the public markets because they get to cash out big on IPO day. You're on the other side of that trade. Okay, they get in early with pre-IPO shares. You think you're lucky to get IPO shares, and they're just laughing all the way to the bank. It's important that you understand, John, this IPO boom, it's a rare event. It will not be here for everyone. And because of this change in the law, we now have a rare chance for everyday folks to finally profit from Wall Street's biggest secret.
And sometimes those returns aren't pathetic. They're just enough to keep you not focused on the other thing. And it's really interesting because all this time I've been wondering, why haven't I seen a single headline from major news outlets like Bloomberg or the Wall Street Journal on this new opportunity? But I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah, it's economic incentives. Most investors only see what Wall Street wants them to see. And the last thing they want you to do, take your hand and put it in their money trough. That's why I rarely trust headlines or so-called experts on TV or anyone related to the Wall Street machine, because their economic incentives are not aligned with yours. If you want to make money, if you want to understand what's happening, you've got to go to the source. So in this case, it all starts with a new SEC regulation. Let me ask you this question. Does this look familiar to you? Does this sound familiar to you? This new regulation is titled SEC Harmonizes and Improves Patchwork Exempt Offering Framework.
Come on. With a headline like that, it's no wonder it didn't grab anybody's attention. What does that even mean?
I can't say for sure if they were trying to slide this regulation under the noses of Americans or not, but one thing is for a fact. Nobody read it except people on Wall Street.
Right.
But the second part is it's truly a historic event, because what it means is that for the first time in 76 years, the private investing market has been unlocked for the average American. You can now profit from untapped markets propelled by massive, unstoppable trends, all before the rest of the market catches on. I'm talking about finally buying shares of hot tech companies before they IPO and buying in with as little as $100, with the ability for those early stage shares to potentially become worth millions of dollars in the future. No longer monopolized by connected high net worth individuals, elite VCs like BlackRock, who manage $9 trillion, or famous investors like Mark Cuban from Shark Tank. Business Insider recently published an article saying This is a game changer for both companies and investors. It levels the playing field in several ways. This regulation has the potential to change the face of investing and capital raising in a variety of ways we have yet to see.
Okay, that's a big statement. Change the face of investing and capital raising. But I mean, I guess it's true, right? We are dealing with trillions of dollars, and these tech companies will be the future of technology and innovation.
Yes, and I'm not sure most people fully understand the implications here. This new regulation recently added an important amendment which raised the cap of these pre-IPO deals to $5 million. In plain English, this means we will witness a ton of new, higher quality, and more mature startups coming to market that need funding right away. Bottom line, there are thousands of opportunities to buy into private, highly qualified tech companies, but you only need one of them to make you wealthy.
Is this why folks have been locked out of these kinds of deals for almost a century? The elites want to keep this market for themselves while they tell you to buy public stocks instead.
The easy answer? Yes.
Yeah.
For example, if you have a wealth building secret that makes you billions of dollars a year and you have a lock on it, would you share it and open it up to the world? Or do you keep it to yourself? Well, if you're Wall Street and the most connected investors on the planet, it's an easy answer. You keep it to yourself and into your little club. Listen, if anyone's missed out on these amazing pre-IPO gains, I want them to know it's not their fault, John.
You know, Teeka, this is just my opinion, but I'd assume that Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and all the VCs would work together to keep their control over this wealth building secret, right? I mean, they work together. I guess what I'm trying to say is, how did this new law end up giving power back to the everyday person? I feel like this never happens. If it ever does, it's rare.
It's a great question. There's one thing more powerful than the financial elites who want to keep control over this private market. And ironically enough, it's the members of Congress who want to guarantee they can keep their cushy government positions. Think about it like this. For congressional members to keep their seats, their bonuses, their power, their access, they need just one thing to work in their favor.
And what's that?
A booming economy. And that's why government officials passed this law, to ensure it would create more jobs, more innovation, and a stronger economic backbone. The Wall Street Journal says, is it possible that a law passed by today's polarized Congress is actually working to strengthen our economy? New data shows that this bill is doing just that. Stanford Business says there's no question that the private market has had an outsized and underappreciated impact on the economy and on humanity. And Forbes says this act will power the future of work. The innovation economy is one of the major wealth generation engines of our future.
Okay, so this powerful congressional bill was designed to strengthen the economy, but in doing so, it's interesting, it handed a powerful wealth building secret to everyday folks.
It's really crazy to think about, really. This
Yeah.
single government regulation has driven an absolute boom in the private equity and IPO sector. The entire sector has grown to $5 trillion. The question is, who will leverage this money for their own benefit? Investors have to start thinking like a venture capitalist now. We've never had this opportunity before to invest just $100 into the next potential tech giant and change our lives. It's truly a tremendous opportunity. I mean, John, check this out. I'm guessing you know what Uber is, right?
Yes, I know what Uber is. I use it all the time.
Well, I'd be willing to bet there's something you don't know about Uber.
All right. Knowing you, I'm guessing you're right.
Well, if you ever thought you needed a ton of money to get in on these massive pre-IPO gains, I want you to take a look at this. The Wall Street Journal released this document showing that one of Uber's earliest investors only invested $5,000. Can you believe that, John? He only invested $5,000 into what is now one of the biggest companies in the world. Do you know what his return was?
No, but I'm assuming it was life-changing.
Get this, John. Over $24 million from a $5,000 investment. That's a 479,900% return on his money. And here's what's really interesting. Let's say he only invested $1,000. His return would still be $4.7 million. let's break it down further. Let's say you just put $100 in. His return, $500,000. John, that funds almost every person's retirement like that.
Gosh, it's funny because when you think of private investing, you think of Wall Street or Shark Tank, and you assume it's out of your reach as just a regular person, but seeing this, it's obviously not. I mean, he only invested $5,000 into Uber. It really makes me believe that anyone could be up next. It's like you've been saying, you're only one deal away from a lifetime of freedom. I love this. It's an eye-opening example, Teeka. It's perfect. And you know what? Looking at the clock, okay, I see that we're cutting it quick on time, so really quick here. Earlier, you mentioned less than 1% of the U.S. population are investing in these deals, but what about the few that have? Tell me how they're doing.
Well, John, a small number of everyday people, as you said, are taking advantage of this rare wealth building secret. And it's not just executives at banks or the wealthy and the connected. I want to talk to you now about some regular folks like Jackson C. He's a Silver Star Marine, and he turned thousands of cheap pre-IPO Encino shares into over $5 million. Marco G., he was a broke artist in Italy who moved to the U.S. unemployed and ended up turning his investments into a $49 million fortune. Noah J. was a bankrupt developer, but managed to turn his pre-IPO shares into an absolute fortune. Olivia O. made $6 million from one pre-IPO deal. And Ava S., well, she went from making $25,000 a year to being a millionaire. I could share examples all day, but I think you get the point. John, my goal today is for more everyday people to take advantage of this rare moment in time. Just think how special this is, John. How many people do you know who have turned as little as $100 into a retirement fortune? It's unheard of. But the people taking advantage of this new government regulation are quietly making off with a fortune.
Well, you know what, Teeka? I think I can speak for all our viewers here when I say I would love to see all this in action.
It's as easy as ordering a pizza. You don't have to go to Wall Street and beg for an investment banker to give you access to the next big pre-IPO, and you won't have to shell out millions of dollars to do so. You can do this from the comfort of this chair that you're sitting in right now, John. Do me a favor. Do you have your phone on you? Can you take out your phone?
Of course.
We can invest in an innovative pre-IPO deal right now. Let me show you. All done. John, you are now a private owner with pre-IPO shares of a tech company that could potentially become the next big billion-dollar disruptor.
That quick, huh? I mean, you had to have before $1 million net worth or be connected to Silicon Valley insiders to get in on a deal like that. I don't know. I don't know what to say, Teeka. Thank you.
That one deal you just made could be a complete financial game changer for you, John. See, it's what I call asymmetric. It means you get a high reward with very limited downside. Potential to make life-changing gains with just $100. Just like we spoke about earlier with Google. You could buy 1/25th of a Google share for $100 and maybe make 10% a year on it. Or you could invest $100 into a booming private tech company that could become the next major disruptor, just like Uber. And that single pre-IPO deal could return 10x, 100x, even 1,000x on your money in the coming years. Just like the wealthy have done for decades behind our backs. Because when you get in on deals that are making a real change in the world, well, the gains, they're stunning. SpaceX handed pre-IPO investors a 73,900% gain. Airbnb gave pre-IPO investors a 4,833,233% gain. And Twilio, well, pre-IPO investors there made 953,603%. John, it would take centuries to make those kind of gains from the public stock market.
But in the private market, one deal could help create your dream life. I got it. Teeka, I got to say, today's summit, it really has been extremely eye-opening. It's very exciting stuff. And now, one thing that I've been wondering is how many pre-IPO deals are out there right now, and then how do you spot the best ones?
It all starts with what I call the founder's code. Number one, disrupt billion-dollar secrets. You want to be invested in a company that's about to give a big wake-up call to a sleepy sector. Disruption equals money, John. Think about what Uber did to the traditional taxi business. They demolished it.
Yep.
Uber gives us the ability to summon a private car ride in an instant for the fraction of a price of a taxi. Ironically enough, taxi drivers were actually pushed into becoming Uber drivers. And pre-IPO investors on Uber made 4,966 times their money. John, wouldn't you want to buy in on a deal like that? Where else could you invest $100 into an Uber of the world and walk away with $500,000?
Yeah, no question about it. It's just amazing.
Think about what Airbnb did to hotels. Anyone can now rent out their apartment to collect extra income with Airbnb. And the renters get a cheaper, more comfortable experience than paying for a hotel. Both sides win. It's a simple idea, but disruptive. Or think about how Netflix started the streaming boom, killing off Blockbuster. New technology companies are disrupting massive sectors. It's all around us. Sometimes you just have to have someone to guide you in on these particular deals.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense to get in on deals that are disrupting massive sectors. I totally get that. What else do you look for?
Well, number two of my founder's code is invest alongside elite VCs and billionaires. This is simple, but crucial. We want to target deals which have attracted elite investors who can help catapult the deal into the stratosphere. Why? Because they attract attention, and attention attracts new expertise, capital, and investors. For example, John, what if you could do a deal with someone like Peter Thiel?
He invested in Facebook, didn't he?
Facebook, PayPal, Palantir, Asana, Lyft, Yelp, Airbnb, Zynga, and many, many more. He's made billions of dollars from private investing.
Well, then the answer is yes. I'd jump at the chance to join him on a pre-IPO deal. Of course I would.
Now, anyone watching right now can potentially start investing alongside these prolific billionaires, which leads us to the third thing I look for in my founder's code: strong leadership with a proven track record. John, are you going to hire an amateur to work on your heart if you need heart surgery?
No.
Heck no. Same thing goes for pre-IPO investing. Experts only. I look for deals that have the dream team of proven executives and leadership teams who have successfully grown and exited their previous ventures for hundreds of millions, billions of dollars even. Stanford Business did a mass survey and found 900 professionals at more than 650 different VC firms found that the most important factor driving VC investment decisions was not the potential of the product being pitched, but the quality of the team behind it.
Wow, that is really an interesting distinction. So to confirm, ideally, you want to invest with a team who has a track record of starting other innovative tech companies and exiting them for massive returns.
Yes, because if they've done it once, twice, or more, without a doubt, they can do it again. It's a simple but crucial step. You must have proven leaders in your deals.
Yep, absolutely. I can see that now.
But these are just a few of the elements I look for in finding potential billion-dollar investing opportunities.
Okay, Teeka, can I ask you this, though? How long are these pre-IPO deals actually open for? I imagine that you have to be quick before the deal's closed.
Well, it varies from deal to deal. The hotter and more innovative it looks means more attention, and ultimately the deal gets funded quicker. For example, Uber funded pretty quickly, and since we are in this rare IPO boom, deals are filling up at lightning speeds. Let's look at this company called Gumroad, Gumroad, a new tech platform helping anyone to create an online store in an instant. It's a $4.9 trillion global industry. In just one day, they received $5 million in funding from everyday pre-IPO investors, meaning they completely sold out in a day.
Wow.
The deal was then closed off. Nobody could invest in it from the public anymore after that.
That sounds insanely quick to me, but I see that folks only needed a minimum of $100 to get in, and that's exciting for a lot of people.
Even more exciting, the company has already generated $390 million in revenue. And the entire company is now estimated to be worth as high as $500 million. Think about that. $500 million. Early investors who got in for as little as $100, well, now they stand to make a fortune, John.
Words don't do it. Words cannot describe the feeling that I have. You know how sometimes you just know that you're onto something and you get that excited feeling? That's how I feel right now. You know, it's amazing to think that such small investments can turn into 1,000x returns. And now everyday people can get in on deals that can innovate the way that we live our lives. When you think about this, it's just a rare moment in time for us all.
John, that's the power of becoming a pre-IPO investor. One deal can change every aspect of your financial life.
Okay, I want in, Teeka, and I'm sure everyone watching wants to get started too. So let's just jump right into this. How? How can folks get access to your newest investment opportunity?
Well, I've packaged all the details of my next pre-IPO deal recommendation inside what I call the One Deal Away executive summary. I believe I've spotted a pre-IPO deal that could potentially be the next Gumroad, which went from being worth zero to an estimated worth of $500 million. This is a deal that 99% of Americans don't even know about yet. And since today has been such an eye-opening summit, I've agreed with my team to give away all of the details on this exclusive deal 100% free. The name of the company, the details on their potential billion-dollar tech disruption, and how you can buy in right now. I won't charge tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars like I normally would for my clients when I worked on Wall Street.
Well, you know, if this deal is like anything like you've shown us today, pre-IPO buyers could be in store for 100x gains. This is everything that you spoke about today being one deal away from a lifetime of freedom. One deal. Even better, being invested in a deal that changes the rest of the world. That's disruption.
By acting today and taking this first step, you will position yourself for a potential windfall of pre-IPO profits starting with just $100. And there's no better time to get in on my newest pre-IPO recommendation. Here's what the Wall Street Journal said. IPOs are hotter now than they have ever been. LiveMint states a new billionaire created every week by the world's hottest IPO market. And Bloomberg says the IPO market has never been hotter than it is right now. Companies are racing to public markets like never before. Right now, you can get started with $100 or less on this specific pre-IPO deal. John, there's only one obstacle.
What's that, Teeka?
Time. Because once this company receives all its initial funding, the clock hits zero and this opportunity is gone forever. This isn't like the public stock market where you can jump in and out at any time. This is the private pre-IPO market where the window is limited. Once it gets funded, it's done and it's pulled. The only question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to settle for buying stocks in the public market and settle for the post-IPO scraps? Or do you want to start on your path of your dream life through the pre-IPO market?
I don't want anyone to miss out on this. Now, you said for today, your new report, the One Deal Away executive summary, is 100% free?
It is 100% free. Let me tell you, John, I could sell that report for thousands of dollars, given the fact it could be the opportunity to get in on the next tech unicorn or billion-dollar tech valuation company. But as a token of my personal appreciation for the time everyone has invested with me today, I'm giving it away 100% free. But John, before I show you how to claim access, you should know I've got another secret on how to pull massive profits from the private market.
Great, let's hear it.
It's called Instant VC, how to invest in 86 of the most coveted private tech companies in the world in 5 minutes. John, this is by far the easiest way to dip your toes into private investing and buy some of the biggest private tech disruptors in the world. I'm talking about companies like Elon Musk's SpaceX, Nextdoor, Udemy, Masterclass, BlockFi, Discord, and more. The companies I've just listed are private. They rarely take in new investments, but combined, They're valued at over $54 billion.
So you're saying that there's a way to invest into those companies who may become the next class of tech disruptors, and you can do it in one move?
One move, that's it. It's the easiest way to enter into the private market in just minutes. And viewers can grab all the details completely free.
That sounds amazing, Teeka, but there's no time to waste. I want everyone to know how to get these pre-IPO reports right away. So folks, it's very simple. Everything mentioned thus far is all included with membership to Teeka's personal research and recommendation service. It's called the Palm Beach Letter. And Teeka, for those who don't know, can you describe this a little bit more?
The Palm Beach Letter is my flagship service. Each month I send out a private note and a portfolio update as we continue to focus on the most exciting and transformative trends in the markets. Inside you find special reports like the investment of the decade, 3 must-own stocks that will power blockchain's $30 trillion revolution, my top 3 stocks for the return of inflation, America's Untouchables, the ultimate portfolio protection, the top 3 NFT projects for this $139 trillion revolution, and much more. Over the last 6 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of readers spot small investments that have the ability to soar 10 times, 20 times, even 50 times higher. And the Palm Beach Letter is where I share some of my most explosive recommendations, my #1 investment every single month. I'll do all the detailed research so you can decide if you want to get in. I'll recommend what to buy, when to sell, and when to take profits.
Teeka, I can't put enough emphasis on how valuable the Palm Beach Letter is. You know, the average investor is lucky to see 6.5% returns annually, yet your service is on an entirely different level. Your average recommendations, counting winners and losers, have returned 281% for the last 6 years. Amazing. Besting some of the world's top investors. You can't argue with that.
Thanks for saying that, John. I truly believe people need alternative advice and actionable investing recommendations in this world that is rife with conflicts of interest. I'm proud to say that at the Palm Beach Letter, we have never, ever taken outside advertising. We only make money through our subscriptions. And that's why 145,000 monthly members have trusted us to give them investment advice each month.
That is no fluke. You got to go out and earn that number, I'll tell you that. I want to quickly get to the price because there's a lot of folks watching and wondering how much does all this cost? Because I think viewers are going to really be in for a pleasant surprise, Teeka. Typical Wall Street fees, well, they can be massive. I mean, you used to charge clients thousands of dollars for a single investment analysis. Monthly retainers can be as high as $25,000 per month. That's just insane. But you're not going to charge new members anywhere near $25,000, right? In fact, on your public Palm Beach Letter website, you charge $199 per year.
Correct. But today, I'm going to take this a step further. I'm going to take that $199 price and just throw it out the window for today's special summit. You see, I believe in today's pre-IPO deal so much and believe this year's rare IPO boom will be so historic. I want to give everyone watching a special opportunity. For viewers who join the Palm Beach Letter in the next few minutes, will also get access to my newest pre-IPO investing masterclass. It's called the Pre-IPO Path to Freedom, your 101 guide to pre-IPO investing. Now, I want to ensure everyone who joins today knows exactly what steps to take to get started with investing in potentially the next tech unicorn. Now, I understand it can sound intimidating at first because it's new and different, especially compared to the public stock market. But John, I assure you, getting into these pre-IPO deals is easier than ever, just as we showed just now on your phone.
Well, like you said, Teeka, it's the difference between 6.5% returns a year and 6,500%. And if this rare IPO boom is about to surge, like you say, the sky is the limit here.
Exactly, John, exactly.
Teeka, I'd like to give a full recap of what they will receive when they join you at the Palm Beach Letter, starting with the One Deal Away Executive Summary, Instant VC, how to invest in 86 of the most coveted private tech companies in the world in 5 minutes. the Pre-IPO Path to Freedom, your 101 guide to pre-IPO investing. Not to mention access to Teeka's model portfolio, where you can see all of his current open recommendations, buy up to prices, and much more. You'll also get full 24/7 access to Teeka's members-only website. All said and done, this entire special offer is valued at $1,396, but today only, you don't have to pay anywhere near that. Teeka, I'm wondering, were you able to secure that special discount for viewers today?
I'm smiling, John, because I was. Friends, I've secured an additional 75% off, meaning the Palm Beach letter is available to you for only one payment of $49. Friends, that's just 13 cents a day. Just click the button near this video and you can join us right now. But you know, John, it's funny how times change, because when I was a kid, I go to a candy store and, you know, for 13 cents, I could get a bunch of penny candies.
Sure.
You know, now when I get petty change from a store clerk, I just tell them to hold on to it, right? You know, 13 cents just doesn't buy a whole lot anymore.
Right.
But 13 cents a day gets you in on this rare wealth event and monthly recommendations as well, with the ability to potentially change your life.
It is a no-brainer deal if there ever was one, Teeka. And viewers right now can hop on it by clicking the button near this video.
Friends, if you're wondering why today's special deal is so affordable, I want to be very clear with you. You and I don't know each other yet. We don't have the benefit of a relationship. But here's what I know. When you rip open the reports I'm handing over to you today, and you see the recommendations I'm making every single month, I know it will be the start of a long and beneficial relationship between us. So the membership fee of $49 a year, it allows me to keep you informed on what's happening in the markets, where they're headed, and new cutting-edge investment ideas. But I want you to understand this. We don't know each other yet. So I don't want to keep one penny of that $49 if you're not 100% ecstatic with what you're receiving. So that's why I want you to take the Palm Beach letter out for a test drive for 60 days. And I'm going to give you a 100% money back guarantee. Rip through all the executive reports, examine my portfolio, my monthly top investment recommendations, and everything else that comes with your membership. And if you decide, you know what, this is not a good fit for me, for any reason at all, you can simply call or email our US-based customer service team and cancel your subscription. So this offer is risk-free. We'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. And as an extra bonus, you can keep everything you received at zero charge. Friends, the moment is now. We are on the cusp of one of the biggest financial events in history, a rare IPO boom that could mint countless new millionaires. It's already happening as I speak. There's no time to wait, because you are just one deal away from changing your life.
Well, you have heard it all today. If you want to change your life, you have to make the change. And there's never been a more profitable and rare time to do it. There's only one thing left to do. Click the button near this video to secure your copy of the One Deal Away Executive Summary, all the extra bonuses, and grab access to Teeka's monthly investments. Now, before we end this amazing summit, Teeka, and it has been amazing, do you have anything else you want to add?
I do. Friends, you have a choice today. Buy one share of Google and wait an entire year to collect only maybe a 6.5% to 10% return. Or you can get involved in 25 different pre-IPO deals, each with an ability to become the next global tech giant. Listen, there's a reason why the Wall Street Journal says the IPO millionaires are coming, because you are one deal away from changing your life forever. The only question is, will you invest in the next tech giant and set yourself on the path to financial freedom? Or will you follow the path Wall Street has laid out for you, making a tiny 6.5% annual average return? Most people will not tread this path, not because they're not willing to try something new, it's because they're not willing to get out of their comfort zone. But I promise you, if you do, the opportunities here could be life-changing. This is the first time the private market has been unlocked for you in 76 years. And now you can get involved with as little as $100. I want you to take advantage of it.
Well said, Teeka. But folks, the clock is ticking. Teeka, I want to take the second just to thank you and everyone watching for this once-in-a-lifetime One Deal Away Summit. It really has been amazing. And folks, we'll see you all soon.